Hi, Nicola Devine here from Tanker Creative. I'm really excited to be here today to talk through some really juicy info. Right, so let's get started on Creative Marketing Essentials. We're going to talk about branding. So in a nutshell, branding is about the expression of your professional creative practice. Branding is really important because it communicates your mission, purpose, and vision to so many people. When you think about it, it's communicating to your audiences, customers, suppliers, and the media. Branding is a really helpful foundation for making strategic choices, and there is a whole lot of those, from visual communication, how you behave. I mean, like we're talking about those rock stars that, used to throw the TVs out of their hotel windows, if that's your jam. It's what you name your creative practice. It's the type of written and verbal language that you use. It's your colour palettes. It's the types of images you use, whether you use photography or a type of illustration. It's things like your social and ethical bottom lines. It's whether you give a very specific type of custom gift, or you decide that you work with a specific charity. It even goes into the types of processes that you use as part of your creative practice. So now we know all the awesomeness around why you need a brand. Let's dig in a little bit deeper and look at some branding essentials that I recommend. So if I was developing a brand from scratch or refining it, there's a few top basics that I would look at. And the first one of that is sometimes the hardest, and that is coming up with your name. And luckily, we're really fortunate to have AI and name generators now. So once you know a bit about your brand, you can actually hop on to your computer and go to a name generator. Choose that organizational name. Make sure there's a domain name that you can link to that. And once you've got that, I also recommend using or buying the email address that goes with that. So you've got that consistency of your domain name that's going to link to your website or a social media channel while you're setting up your website. And then you can start developing a logo and visual identity. Okay, so yes, talking about visual identity, that's the next step once you've created your logo, is thinking about your visual style. So something I talked about before, whether you're using photography or illustration, coming up with a colour palette, thinking about the written style that you have in your lexicon, which is kind of almost like a dictionary of words that you use, and you reuse those again and again. So there's a consistency about your language. Having a think about your tagline that explains further what you're doing, just expands on your organizational name, an elevator pitch for all those times that people ask you for a little bit more than what your tagline actually means. And then I'm still a really big fan of a business card, especially for creatives, because I think we can do a really great job at developing something like that is a physical product that really engages with people. And you can be smart about that. You can think about the materials that you use. You can put a QR code on there. You could make it augmented reality. So you could have a lot of fun with creating a business card. Alrighty, so you're thinking, how do I develop my my organizational name or my logo or my visual identity? Well, I've got the answer for you. There is a process to doing this, and it's really great to know about this process, whether you do it yourself or you collab with another creative or you outsource this to someone else, because there's these stages, and everyone will do it slightly differently, but this kind of gives you an overview of how it could roll. So the first stage is coming up with a briefing. So whatever you do and develop, this is the foundation that you will refer back to make sure that it is actually doing what it needs to do. The next stage of that is doing your research. So that's really fun. It can turn up a whole lot of stuff, be really, really inspirational. So it's having a look at the competitors, looking at best practice, worthy rivals, all that kind of stuff, and seeing if there is some consistency or threads of consistency with what other people are doing, because that is really helpful to go, okay, we're all communicating to the same people and we're all using something that's consistent. And so that's a bit of a like, hey, I should do that as well. Once you've pulled together that research and you've looked at your brief, then you can kind of come up with a strategy and an angle that you're going to go with. And once you've done that, the next stage is coming up with the creative solution. So whether you're creating your organizational name and jumping onto AI, getting your long list, developing a short list, or whether you're coming up with logo selection and developing some iconography, choosing typography, that kind of thing. This is that stage. Really fun. After you've done that, what I recommend is the next stage, which is stage 5, and that's going out and testing what you've done to make sure that it actually resonates and communicates with the people that you want it to. And this is something that you can do yourself. It's really not that difficult. There's this like fancy thing called semantic differentials, which is basically, you probably know it and you've probably seen it before, where you have two kind of opposites. So it might be traditional or contemporary, or it might be old or new, or handmade or mass-made. And whatever values you've got as part of your creative practice, you want to have the opposite to that, and go out and check with people. Does this name, reflect what the values of my creative practice are? And you need to know who your target market is so that you can go and ask those people. Don't ask your mum, don't ask your friends unless they are your target market, because those are the people that are really going to help you hone your organizational name or your logo. And once you've got that testing, then you can have a look at that, and you might need to go, okay, this is not really quite communicating what I need to. I need to refine the font a little bit more or whatever, and then go back and test. And honestly, I've had clients that have done this themselves. They've gone to a supermarket, or they've gone to their partner's workplace, and they've asked people and got testing, and it really has helped them refine what they're doing. Once you've sorted that out, then it's time to release it into the wild and see how things go. I always recommend that the final and really important part is reporting, because then you can see how what you have released into the wild is doing, whether it is actually helping with your brand awareness, people recognizing it, it's communicating properly still. So ongoing reporting is a really important part of the process. So that pretty much wraps up the basics of branding. Thanks so much for listening to me talk about this fantastic subject. Hey, I'm back, and now I'm ready to talk about creative marketing essentials and websites. So why have a website? So you're looking online and you see these news articles and you hear about all these people that just have their businesses wiped out because they've had their social media channel hacked, or Facebook's decided to close their account. Having a website is your insurance policy for your creative practice. It is a place that you have way more control over. And when you have a look at your statistics over time, you'll actually see that there are a lot of people, as many people potentially that come to your website as on social media, and you have a lot of control over the kind of content that you've got on there, how you communicate, rather than social media channels which are quite structured in what you can provide them. So websites fit as a really important part of the online universe, which I just wanted to give you a bit of an overview on as well. So to talk more about that, I've created this really realistic diagram of the online universe. So from this, you'll see that there is a nice big sun, and basically that is your website, and around that is the social media channels and apps. So you see Google Analytics down the bottom, and then you'll see like YouTube, because that's like the next biggest actual website online, and floating around are other ones like YouTube and Facebook, and like way off in the distance you'll see Snapchat, because that's on its own little trajectory. And what those channels are doing is they are feeding back to your website, which is all kind of like part of the marketing strategy that we'll get into another time. So how do you go about creating a website? I have to say that websites are actually like an ongoing commitment. It's a bit like getting married. Like there's a lot of give, but a lot of a take as well. So you kind of get out of them what you put in. But there's a process that you can go through to start developing your website that I've got here for you today. And what this does is it helps you understand what is involved. So if you want to do it yourself, or you want to collab with someone, or you want to outsource it, this is the kind of process that you'll go through. So let's take a look at the stages for that. So the first stage, as always, your website's only going to be as good as the brief that you can provide. And that is, with that brief, you need to understand that your website is a tool, and it's going to do something for your creative practice. So understanding what the purpose of your creative practice is will be an essential part of your briefing. Understanding your vision and mission, who's going to come to your website, are all elements of your brief. Then you get on to the research. So you're going out there and you're having a look and you're seeing what everyone is doing. And there's things that you're going to look for in that. So things like how the pages are laid out, the content in them, stuff like sitemap and wireframes, which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. Just seeing what the best practice is. And it's amazing. There's people that are doing really incredible things, and then there's people that are doing rubbish stuff. So once you've pulled all that information together from your brief and your research, then you can come up with a strategy. And part of that strategy is actually thinking about the function that you need the website to perform for you. So if you're looking to sell things, then you're going to want to have functionality that allows things like e-commerce and payment gateways like PayPal or Stripe. You might even, if you're going to be selling lots and lots of stuff, you might want to have an integration for a courier company or a shipping company in there. So those are elements of that strategy. Thinking about the platform that's going to be right for you. Of course, this just changes all the time because like the platforms are constantly updating. There's bringing new ones in, but the ones that I've been using in particular, as a really great starter platform, Squarespace. You can do your news, and you can do a bit of e-commerce on it, and it looks really great. You can also add your plugins or applications, so you can build functionality in there. If you are really into wanting to do something a lot more slick, that's really easy, and you don't have to pay for you don't have to do upgrades yourself, which can be a nightmare if you're not technically based. Shopify is really fantastic. There's all these prompts that really help you create a fantastic e-commerce website. I recommend going with quite a basic theme because then there's no issues when things come to updating. And if you really want to go for something a bit more special, then a WordPress website that's hosted on a platform is the next level up. So those are the three that I recommend. There's issues if you have someone that codes a website for you because the online space changes constantly. So your website does run the risk of outdating. And then I know that a lot of people quite like Wix. What we've found, and this could change again, is that the functionality that is available on Wix, so the kind of plugins that you can have that link up, is problematic. So they may sort that out, but at the moment we're Team Squarespace here. So once you've decided all that, then you're getting into the creative content development and deciding on things like the first one is creating a sitemap. So that's like one of those cool kind of graphs where you're going, okay, I've got the home page here, and then at the next level, I'm going to have an about page. And I always recommend that people have an about page because I've seen from the statistics that people are incredibly nosy and they want to know about you. And the other no-brainer one is having a contact page because you want people to be easily able to get in contact with you. Those other pages that go in between, like there might be a shop page, there might be a news page, so you're kind of like nutting out what you have at like a top level, and then what will sit under those pages. So like you might have a shop page and then you might have different types of pieces that you sell. So, for example, a visual artist might have originals and then they might have limited edition prints and they might want to split those up under their shop. So those are the kind of things that you start nutting out at that stage, and it'll really help you because the next stage is creating wireframes, which is a fancy word for page layouts. So you want to have that consistency with every page on your website, where people see your header in the same place. You have perhaps a main or hero image above that, and it's always the same size. And when you create a wireframe these days, you also have to consider what Google is looking for, because Google's going to really help you pull people to your page. And one of the things that Google is looking for is a page that people will stay on for 9 seconds or longer. And we can thank the inventor of infinite scroll for that, because people's behavior now online is that they want to scroll. So you have to make these really long pages. So the trick when you're thinking about that is to think about one of the other things that search engine optimize looks for, and that is people staying on your page. So you want to encourage them to go to other pages on your website. So I always say, the top of your wireframe is about the content that relates to that page, and then the bottom half is to encourage people to stay on your page, on your website. So thinking about other pages that they might be interested in. If you're going to do a news or blog, then you might have a section that has a few news articles on it that people will go to. Like when you go to lots of sites and they're always trying to encourage you to go to another news article or something like that. That is the strategy to keep you on their website. The other thing to think about when you're creating wireframes is that you want them to work on different devices. So, you're probably designing it on a desktop, but a lot of people are going to be looking at it on a tablet or a mobile. So you've got to think that you want to create something that's going to be optimized for that. And I always think that, or what is automatically done is that content will be stacked. So I develop wireframes that have an even number of columns to them. So they're either a 2 or a 4 column grid, and I know that everything will be stacked. And the other thing that you have to think about is once those elements on your wireframe are stacked, will that make sense? So will you, have a consistent image and then headline and then paragraph and then button, and how will that look on a desktop and on a mobile? So that is your wireframes, and once you've developed them, then it's really helpful because that shows you what content you're going to need on your website. Amazing. So you know that you're going to need, certain pages with headlines and intros and images or video on them. And you can go out and you can either create or access that content that you've already got. And it really helps optimize that process because you're not out there creating stuff that you're never going to use. You're being very strategic about that. So once you've got all that content together, then it's actually time to set up your account and start putting it in there. And doing it this way, you can see that it really just has a really great structure for making sure that you're actually going to get that website underway. Of course, once you've got it all set up and you're ready to go, you're really excited, but I recommend that you go to the next stage, which is doing some user testing. So when you're testing this, you really want to make sure that you're testing it with your target market of people that are actually going to use it, because they're going to give you the feedback that's really important. So, making sure that you have, you communicate to them appropriately. So do your testing, look at their feedback, do your refinements, and then launch it, release it out into the wild. And what I recommend is doing a bit of a soft launch. So you might have it up for a month or so and iron out all the bugs, make sure everything's working. And then I recommend doing a bit of a promo because people are really love to look at new or updated websites. So if you're on social media and you're thinking about, hey, what's some really great content that's going to engage people and actually get them to your website, then promoting your website is a really good one. And then, of course, the last and ongoing stage is that reporting. So, hook yourselves up to Google Analytics. If you're on WordPress or Squarespace, actually Shopify has some really good analytics, but have a look on like a monthly basis. Set yourself up with a spreadsheet and, even if you're looking at how many people are coming to your website and what pages they're looking at and how long they're on your website, those are really good basic statistics to look at because you can find some really interesting nuggets in how people are behaving, and that can feed into your marketing. It can feed into refinements of your website, especially if there's something that everyone's coming to, then that's like a bit of a heads up to give you some strategies on ongoing development of your creative practice. So that's a bit of a roundup of a process to develop your website. So one of the most important things about your website is actually your SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization. So whenever you go to Google, which is, the most popular website in the universe, and you're typing in a phrase, then you're being served with a whole lot of options for that. And you want to be optimized so that your website comes up and is highly ranked for whatever people are searching for in particular. And of course, websites really help with your marketing, because there's an initial part of your marketing where people want to do some looking into who you are. And, like I said, the, about page is really important. So people are going to your website and, they're having a look, something like 92% of people actually use Google. And then 60% of people are actually on there to suss out a creative practice or a brand or an organization. So, it is really important to have a website. So now we know how important it is. How do you actually improve your search engine optimization and your page ranking in Google? Let's have a look at how you can refine your website and the kinds of considerations you make while you're building it. So there's kind of when we break it down, there's 3 core components to how to optimize your website. And we're going to break those down into technical setup, content, and your links. So if we go deeper into how you highly rank yourself, you can see from the slide, it's kind of complicated. However, there's help at hand, and that is through the use of AI and apps that you can use as part of your website that will prompt you to consider how you can optimize your website. So there's lots of different areas that you need to consider when you're developing your website, like your sitemap, your wireframe, and then when you're digging deeper into the content on that. So thinking about your title tags, the words that you're using, image tags. So you'll see a prompt where they're asking you for alt tags on your images that help you describe or add keywords to the image that Google is actually searching for. The structure of your website and having those links, so having those very specific pages that will give you information, links coming to your website. So that's where those social media and that online universe come into play, because there's those external links kind of give some credibility that there's actually people out there in the universe that are coming to your website from social media channels. As I said, the site structure and the design, I have to say, make sure that you optimize your images, do a Google to make sure that your images are optimized. We don't want huge images on the site because they take a lot of time to download and they're just way higher quality than they need to be. And then understanding your visitor behavior, again, looking at your reporting, and there's so many other external off-site factors. I'm going to throw some links in that you can go and have a look at, so you can check out what the most recent stuff is, because 3 seconds after we finish this tutorial, things will have changed. So when we're talking about content, we need to have a little conversation about H tags. When you go into your website and you're adding your content in there, you'll see that you can set up your styles, and that these things called H tags, and they're like H1 to H5 as well as a paragraph. And you really should use these because they talk to Google about the hierarchy of the information that you're providing. So an H1 tag is basically H stands for headline. So that is the most important basic content on the page. So I use them as a header, and it could be about, or it could be contact, or it could be news. And then H2 2 will be slightly more articulated content. So it could be, shop limited edition prints. And then H3 is the next level down. So it might be shop and then limited edition prints and then a specific collection that you have. So you've got that hierarchy of information. And when you Google and you actually see that there's some websites and they have those kind of subheaders, that is your H tags. So don't be tempted to set everything at paragraph size and then bold it and make some bits bigger and some bits smaller. Go in, set up your H tags, and definitely use those to your advantage. So that pretty much wraps up like a very basic outline of websites. So now you can go forth and create with a bit of confidence. Hello and welcome back. We're going to talk about creative marketing essentials and dig into marketing. So in a nutshell, what is marketing? It is developing a demand for something, fulfilling a need or a want, and then having an ongoing conversation. Otherwise, it's kind of known as a conversion funnel. So if you Google conversion funnel, you'll come up with a whole lot of slightly different conversion funnels, but basically they're all like heading in the same direction, which is across awareness and then engagement and then conversion. So when we have a look at that, and I've got this really great little infographic here, and we see that awareness and engagement and action or conversion, the three stages of the conversion funnel. And awareness is really about people knowing about who you are and what you do and your vision and values and that kind of thing. So like if you're on social media and you'll see someone and they'll have a post that pops up and it's like, hey, just wanting to introduce myself to, the new followers on my page. And so that is a classic awareness post. And then you've got the engagement side of things. So this can be this is kind of where you're getting people that are your target market, and you're developing content that relates to their values and their motivations, and you're starting to get them engaged with what you're doing. And then the final stage is the action stage or conversion. And look, this doesn't have to be selling. It can be a whole lot of things depending on what your strategy at this moment of time is. And your strategy might be like that you're wanting to build a newsletter database. So you're wanting people to sign up to that. Or it could be that you're wanting them to follow your page, or you're wanting them to tag a friend or RSVP for an event. So it doesn't have to be just sales-based. And also, like, there's another little secret extra to this, which I talked about just before, which was the ongoing conversation. So that is the people that you have that are going to give you those amazing Google reviews. They're going to refer you to other people. So there's this kind of advocacy element to it as well. So again, when you Google marketing, you'll come up with all these like P's of marketing, and there's like 3 P's and there's 5 P's and there's 7 P's and there's like just P's all over the show. But what I have broken it down to is like 5 basic essential areas when it comes to the marketing P's. And those are your product or service. So that's like thinking about what it is you're actually offering, and then curating that selection, and then maybe developing that as well. And then the second P is around price and setting of your price. And again, this is a really strategic element of marketing where you're understanding the value of what you are creating. And, like I'm a big fan of understanding and valuing creativity. So think about this very carefully. It is not just about, like how much time or the cost of the materials. There's a whole lot of other like elements of what you are providing that could be innate and of value. So don't be scared about, like asking an amazing price for that. Then the next one is presence. So that is understanding those social media or other channels that you are going to use for your promotion. So that is the next piece. So that is understanding and having a bit of a plan around what you're doing, and then, like that good old process of developing implementation and, like my big fave, reporting. The final one of these is people. So thinking about who you're actually doing all the promotion and price setting and things for. So people / target markets / personas. All right. So now we know the 5 Ps of marketing. Let's go a bit deeper into some of those. One of the 5 Ps of marketing is people. So you probably all heard about target markets or personas, that kind of thing. So when I'm thinking about a target market, I'm thinking about it in like 4 different areas to help develop who exactly that is. And so they are like the geographic segmentation. So that is like the location that relates to that target market. And it really depends on your creative practice, whether that is about where someone lives or where they work or whether they go on holiday or do some kind of activity at that location. The next one is the demographic segmentation. So that is things like their age range, their gender, like whether they're working, what their whānau status is, those kind of things. After that, you go a bit deeper even more. So we're like going deep, and we're getting into psychographic segmentation and behavioral segmentation. So those are the things where you're going into motivations and values and attitudes and lifestyles and that kind of thing. So we've talked about the different elements of a target market, and I wanted to give you this example of why it's really great to go deep into the psychographic and behavioural stuff, as well as understanding what the geographic and demographics are. So we've got like these 2 lovely people here, King Charles and Ozzy Osbourne, and you can see that just by looking at the demographics and the geographics that they are actually very, very similar. But I can assure you that their motivation around the use of bats and doves is probably going to be quite different. So that is an important reason for going deeper into that kind of information and working it out. So circling back around to psychographics and behavioural stuff, when you're thinking about these people in this target market, the types of things that you should be able to articulate are around the type of personality that they have, what their attitudes are, values, motivations, and I even think about what their brand alignments might be. So, like this could be things like, what kind of clothes do they buy? Like, are they into brand new designer stuff? Do they shop on Trade Me for, second-hand things? Do they buy organic clothes? Do they shop at Save Mart? Like those kind of things can really start to help you think about the potentials for collaborations. Another one that I always think about is how people might transport themselves. So do they, do they own a Hummer? Or do they own a Tesla, or do they Uber, or take public transport, or use an e-bike, or walk? Like there's all these different options that you can think about when you come to brand alignments that might help you or spark an opportunity for you in the way that you're marketing with these people. So another element that we talked about was thinking about the place. So this relates, especially online, to the channels that you're going to use to promote your creative practice. And I kind of recommend trying one or two channels because, we only have so much time, right? So what you want to really know is where your target market are lurking, and more importantly, where they are converting. There's this thing here that I've got here, like about vanity metrics. So you could be on Instagram and you could have like this post and it's going viral and you've got 1 million likes, but actually like you've got an exhibition coming up that you want people to RSVP for and like no one friggin' turns up. So, what's the use of that? And and then you could have your Facebook channel, and you've got a much smaller amount of people, but they're all the ones that turn up and buy your artwork. So, it's really understanding which channels work and coming up with strategies around that. Another example is that I had a visual artist client. We knew that they sold off their e-newsletter and MailChimp, so we really focused on building up their email database of people because we knew that those were the people that would then actually convert or buy their products. So it's all about knowing your reporting and your strategy as well as, having a good time and everyone loving you online. So when you're thinking about the options that you have for different channels, there's so many of them, but a few of the basic ones that you could consider are YouTube, which is the second biggest website in the world after Google. There is lots of functionality coming out around that. They are really upping their game to compete with the other social media channels. So worth having a look and seeing what they've got and seeing if some strategies that you have could work within that channel. The other ones, and this again depends on your target market, and it can be what their age and their motivations and things are. So there's things like Facebook and Instagram, and there are areas that you can have a look and you'll see that actually a lot of people aren't on both channels. They are actually very different types of people on those two different channels. So definitely worth trialing both of those if you think that there might be one that's going to help you get to your goals with your creative practice. Obviously, TikTok, Twitter, if you know that your target market is a lot of people on LinkedIn, and that's another channel. If you have a target market that is on Pinterest, then that could be an option as well, people that are looking for inspiration everywhere. So again, there's other channels as well as that get even more specific that you could have a look at. So it's really, again, about understanding your target market and trialing a couple of different channels to see what's going to work. Another element of marketing, of course, is the promotion. So that's looking at your campaign and having a bit of a plan. And this can kind of be quite overwhelming. You're starting and you're like, what the hell do I start promoting with? And so go back and, have a look at that conversion funnel and think about whether you want to do an awareness campaign or an engagement campaign or a conversion action campaign. Also, it's really good to have a bit of an understanding about like what is happening and how what is happening externally in the world could help you with your strategy. I mean, recently there's been like COVID and post-COVID strategies, things about the cost of living. So having an understanding of like the zeitgeist can be a bit of a prompt that can pull in some ideas about that. As I said, there's the awareness. Hey, here I am. This is what I do and why. And then there's these like having conversations with people as well. So that conversion action side of things, getting customers to follow or sign up for a newsletter. And it's amazing. Like if you actually ask people to do something like share or tag a person that is into whatever you're doing, then like people love doing it. They love engaging on social media. So that's a really great tip of a way to get more engagement with a post that you're doing on social media. So with social media, there's a bit of a process that I've created as a guide for you, so you can look at this and use it yourself to create your social media. You could do it as a collaboration with someone, or you could hand it off to someone else to do. But it's really great to kind of have a bit of an understanding about what is involved in that. So the first stage, as always with anything, it's only as good as the foundational brief and understanding what the purpose of this is, who you're going to be communicating with, and how that relates back to, the goals of your creative practice and your vision and mission and all those juicy things. So once you've got that in place, then you can kind of go out and have a look and see what is happening on those channels. It's really great to understand what people are doing and the kind of content that they've got, having a Google for best practice around that kind of thing, and having an understanding that you don't need to make like this 5-minute video that like everyone's going to clock out after 15 seconds. So, you can really optimize what you're doing by, just making a 15-second video. And then from that, coming up with a bit of a strategy about what you're going to do. And starting to map that out, and what that comes down to what channels you're going to use, and what kind of content you're going to develop, and what stage of the conversion funnel you're in. Once you've decided on all that, then that's really helpful because it helps you decide what kind of content you're going to create. And again, going back and just having a look at what is best practice and what is happening, because my goodness, again, this is like one of those things with websites where 30 seconds after I've finished recording this, things are going to change. So you really just got to know what is going on at that time. Like Instagram, it was all about reels at one time, and then they went back to single posts and stuff like that. So they are, they're just changing as they see other channels responding to other changes. It's just this kind of like crazy random circle of things happening. So once you've got that, but I kind of say as a basic, decide on your imagery, whether it's a still photograph or some type of animated footage or video footage. When I do that, there's some platforms that I really like to add like a text content to add some context to what's going on. Like the prime example of this would be something like Pinterest or Instagram, where you've got people and they're looking at all this beautiful imagery, but like no one knows whether, if you're giving this away as a prize, then like, hey, put the word win or win this or giveaway or something actually on the visual element, or if it's, like a new collection, then, have just that little bit of text on your visual. Once I've done that, then I start looking at like a headline or a couple of words. So, like if I had win on the image, then I could say something like giving away whatever it is that you're giving away. So like 2, 4, 5 words that then relate back but give a little bit more information about what is on the image. Then I'm going to throw in an emoji, and then I'm going to have like 1 or 2 sentences that go into a bit more detail about that. I run everything on because if you ever want to do a sponsored or paid post, it doesn't look as good. The formatting doesn't look as good when you have a space between your headline and then a return and your other content. And then the last thing that I have a think about usually is having some kind of call to action. I've done a bit of research on this, and a call to action that is really short and simple, like 2 words, works the best. So you kind of know this already. It's like more information, or read more, or book now, or book here, or something like that, and then a link to your URL, which is going to go back to your website, which is going to be an external link, which is going to help your SEO. So that is, like the kind of strategy that you think about when you're thinking about your content for your social media. The other thing that I also recommend is thinking about creating a blog post that is on your website that all of these go back to, whatever channel you're on. So that is a bit about your content. Then we go into the testing. So like there's this thing, it's called A/B testing. So option A, option B, and they might be just like slightly different. Like it might just be that you have giveaway as the wording on one of your images and win on the other one, but you could put them both out there and you could get like a quite significantly different response from one of those. So then hey, I'm actually going to like put some money on this one because it's doing really well and I want to take advantage of that. And A and B split testing is something that is used a lot. And I mean, not just when it comes to marketing, it's when it comes to user interfaces or functionality. And sometimes you'll go onto platforms and you'll see that there's like some kind of new functionality on there, and they're doing an A/B test to see how people respond to that and whether they use it or not and that kind of thing. And then if it works, then they'll implement it. If it doesn't, they'll just forget about it. So, A/B split testing on your content. If you're in MailChimp, you can do an A/B split, and it can be your subject line. So you can see which subject line actually people are, more likely to open, and then you can use that to send out to the rest of your database. So that's, that's doing your testing, understanding what the results are. So then I've got this stage where I'm talking about boosting. So, we all know that, Facebook and TikTok and all those things, they weren't developed for free. So they're wanting some kind of, someone to help them pay for all that development. And that's us. If we really want to get the most out of those platforms, then we got to give them a little bit of love back. And it's not a lot. I have to say that you can spend very little money and get quite good results. So there's these 2 kinds of posts. Organic posts and then paid or sponsored posts. So organic posts are when you post on your business page, because you always have a business page, and you just hope that people will see that. And I'm going to tell you that you might get 5% of the people that follow your page that actually see that post. However, if you put a little bit of money on that post, and I'm talking like $25 for a month, you can get an amazing reach, and that reach can be up to 95% of the people that follow your page. You will see a significant difference, and if you are wanting to convert people with either signing up or buying something, then you really want to just put a little bit of money on that actual post. And the other thing is that you want to plan those posts and give them plenty of time to actually start to work, because the social media platforms, they're looking at, first of all, who's engaging, and once they've learned who is engaging with that post, then they start propagating it out to more people that are like that. And then, so there's this ongoing kind of learning process with who's engaging with it, because of course, those social media platforms, they want people to not be pissed off by what they're seeing, because they want them to stay on their platform. So they're going to serve them up with what they like to see and what they want to buy and all that kind of thing. So there's it's a kind of win-win situation with you. But look, I recommend creating content that's going to last at least 3 months for generic things where you might be wanting people to just visit your website, shop, or something like that. If you've got an event, I would suggest that you start doing some kind of promotion, 6 weeks out. And really, it is about, it's about quality, not quantity. So it is worth just doing one generic post and then boosting that and leaving it for quite a considerable amount of time. And that will get you a far better result than posting every day. And another thing to think about is that with some of our clients that are very e-commerce based, we create something that's like a gift promo. And so we might post that, and then those times of the year when people are looking for gift ideas, like Christmas, Mother's Day, the 25th of September, which is the most popular birthday, all those times of the years, we'll actually just go back and put a little bit of money on that post a few weeks in advance, because people, this is the other thing to think about, is that they usually take around 7 views of a promotion before they actually action it. So you've got to have that consistency over time, understand what the lead time is for when someone is going to actually convert, so it could be a year before someone is actually ready to do something. So having this ongoing generic campaign that is paid to get in front of them is a really good concept. And of course, last of all, checking those all-important results. So, set up a spreadsheet, put your basic information in there that you're tracking every month. It's usually around how many people are aware that this post is reached, how many people have engaged, so whether they've liked or commented or shared, and then if there's been some traffic back to your website, so how many click-throughs to your website that there have been on that post. So those are some of the really basic options as far as reporting, and then you can kind of see which ones are working, which ones aren't, do the same again, or, put that one down to experience. Hey, so I've got a little top tip when it comes to developing your content, and that's to do with AI. You can Google AI, social media content development, and there's like heaps of free sites now that will really help you develop your content. So, like you can choose how many emojis you've got, the best hashtags to use, and what tone, and you can pop all that stuff in, make your suggestions, and it'll generate content for you. So literally, this is a great opportunity for you to use AI, especially if you've been procrastinating about how the hell you're going to generate this kind of content. Okay, so that's it. When it comes to marketing, you just got it all in there now. You just got to go out and get posting. Hi, and welcome to this session on target markets and culture segments. So what we're going to talk about in this is target markets, which is a bit of an overview and a broad stroke around who your clients or customers or suppliers might be. And then we're going to delve a bit more deeply and talk about a persona, which is creating someone that has a bit more detail and is kind of like a person who you would deal with. So you kind of can put yourself in the shoes or sneakers or boots of someone that would actually be your client or collector or go to your show or something like that. So we're going to have a talk about culture segments because this is something that's pretty special and awesome and really, really helpful. So culture segments were created by a company called Morris Hargreaves McIntyre, and they're a UK-based consultancy that work with creative institutions around the world, like the Smithsonian and the Tate. And we're really lucky because Creative New Zealand has been working with them for quite a long time. And they have created these culture segments, which you can use to get a really deep insight into the different types of people that are consuming culture in New Zealand. And then from that, it gives you ideas about the values and motivations of your target markets and your persona. Within the culture segments, there are 8 different options, and they give information around the deep-seated cultural values, the beliefs and motivations, lifestyles, what kind of cultural events and content they actually consume, from festivals for different ethnicities through to hip-hop, circus, opera, all those kind of things. That also gives you an insight into what is going to influence their future behaviour and how to develop long-term relationships. So really valuable info. So let's have a look at those 8 different cultural segments. See if you can work out who your target markets might be or who you are, which cultural segment you are. And there's actually a link that I'll give you so you can go in and have a look at which cultural segment you are. And I also want to just say, when it comes to target markets, that some people kind of go, "Ooh, this is really creepy," and they feel really uncomfortable about it. But the way that I see it is, there are some people that are really creepy and it is really uncomfortable. However, what it does for you is it helps you focus your very finite time and resources towards the people that are going to resonate with your creative practice, so that you're not going to have people that come up and say, this work is shit, or my kid could do this. Like, who wants those kind of people? You want to, be respectful of their time, because they're just not going to get what you're doing, but you want to be able to communicate to the people that are really going to love what you're doing and get excited about it, and support and contribute to your creative practice and make it all feel worthwhile. So let's have a look at those 8. So there's a cultural segment called Essence, and these people are really, their art's essential. They're really discerning about the type of culture that they consume. They're confident. They really don't care about what other people think about what they're doing. They know what they like. And, like when you're talking to them, you are talking in sophisticated art speak, because they're totally going to understand it. And if they go and experience art, they're going to want really high quality stuff. They're not interested in the mainstream. Another cultural segment is called Expression, and these people, they are all about community. They really value inclusivity when they're engaging with culture. They want everyone to be welcome. They want to go to workshops and events and activities where there's a social connection, and they are enthusiastic about these opportunities. They also they love it all. They've got this varied and eclectic taste when it comes to the type of culture that interests them. So another cultural segment is called Affirmation. So when they're engaged in culture, it has this kind of affirming element to it, where it's part of their own identity. They're really considered about the type of content that they consume. They want to make sure that it is something that is important and worthwhile to what they're doing. They're quite often looking for opportunities to improve themselves, as well as spending time with others. Then there's Stimulation, and these wonderful people they're experimental. They're into big, new, unordinary kind of ideas. They're seeking out experiences so that they can have this adventurous, varied life. Being part of a social experience is important to them. So they're a really fun group of cultural segment. Another cultural segment that we got here is enrichment. So these are the people that are into history and heritage. There's a bit of nostalgia about what they're interested in. So if there's a way that you can connect, or if you have a creative practice that relates back to the past, then these could be your people. They are quite independent. Again, they know their stuff. They're cautious, and they love stuff that they know has stood the test of time. Then there's Release. So these are the people that they got busy lives. They're time poor, and really they use culture as a way to have a bit of a release, escape, unwind, and they don't find it easy to engage in culture. So you've got to help them along, make things easy for them, go out, be proactive to actually get this market cultural segment to engage with you. Then another one is Perspective. So these are people that have quite a refined focus when it comes to what they enjoy. They might have one or two interests that they find really satisfying and rewarding. Otherwise, they're just too busy. So they will prioritize things, and they really want to do stuff that is really worthwhile for them. So if you can engage with them and you're talking about the motivations and the outcomes, then you will really get this group to notice your creative practice. And then last of all, there's entertainment. So these are the mainstream. They're looking for something that has popular appeal. It's great fun. They can come along with friends and whānau and have a great time. They're just kind of dipping in and out of culture, really in a way there's not a lot of engagement. So kind of almost like a lowest common denominator, I suppose. So to find out more about cultural segments, check out the link in the classroom. Goes into a whole lot more detail that'll give you some really good ideas. And don't forget to test yourself and see who you are. One more thing that I have to say as well is that sometimes it's not just one culture segment that is your actual target market. It could be a mix of a couple of them, or it could be that you start with one culture segment, but you have your eye on it actually becoming another cultural segment at another time. So now you know about target markets and cultural segments, you can actually start developing your own persona. Have a look in the classroom for the link on how to do that. So that is it. This is Nicola Devine signing off for today. Good luck, go forth and create.